No.
How's that?
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm very well, and you?
James. Hope he doesn't understand how these online classes work. He doesn't.
How is he there?
He doesn't. And he's 91 years old. He doesn't understand how we have class
Online, that's brilliant.
over the tick machine. Hold on one second for me.
I must tell you, I think his day was better than ours, eh?
Also,
Hello.
James Simpson.
Hello, Opa.
This is my onderwyser.
Nee, Jan.
I say.
Hy werk. Hy gaan nou klas gee.
Oh,
Okay.
baie mooi.
Hi.
Ek sal oom Walter sien, nee. Okay. It's not, he doesn't understand whenever I tell him, I've got classes now, I've got training. He says, maar jy is die hele dag by die huis.
I'm just getting a message from Mel. She's trying to log in. PC not working. Oh, okay. Why not? Looks like you and me are Lone Rangers today, using my tablet PC and login details. Hang on, I've got to send her deets.
Not too bad, because I have a few questions. Hold on a second. I just want to quickly close these.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to find details for Mel. One sec.
Login details.
Yeah, because she's having trouble with her PC, so she's going to log in on her tablet, so she doesn't have those details. Let's give her a moment or two.
There we go. I've sent to her as well.
She's definitely got it.
Yeah. James, I want to find something out by you. Okay, let me, because I saved screenshots here on my cell phone. Just give me a second.
Okay.
I tried to do.
Hello.
Albert, how are you?
Gosh, technical problems.
Well, you're here. That's all that counts.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not all there. I'm not all there.
You're not all there, but you're here. That's okay.
I tried to do your chat GPT with that link that you sent us, the one for the knee.
Yeah.
And I was answering the questions, and eventually at a certain question, it says, you've reached your limit for using GPTs. Upgrade.
Or wait.
Upgrade chat GPT plus and try again after 3:40 p.m.
Yeah. So
allow me to go further.
Yeah. So what happens is, if you don't have the paid version, sorry, I did not realize this when I came up with this brilliant idea. I gave everybody the GPT, and then somebody messaged me saying, this took me 3 goes to get right. I was like, what do you mean? No, because it times out. So what happens on the free account is that they give us, they call them tokens, which is their word for access, which means we don't understand what that means. But they give you X amount of access determined by them. Then when that access expires, then you have to either wait, like to 3:40 p.m. at that time, or upgrade. So you just have to wait. So the conversation should still be there. So you should be able to just pick it up. So I'm sorry, I did not realize that. And not that I would have been able to change that, but that's the pain in the behind. So just continue. It might take you 3 goes. I'm not sure why, because it's like once you get past the first lot, it should be fairly quick. Anyway.
And then there was another question. I was on LinkedIn, and I was trying to connect and send a message like you had discussed. I managed to send a message to Jared, because I mean we connections on LinkedIn. So I sent him a message, just a practice message. And then I sent a message to somebody else. It was actually Casper from the DCG, Debt Review. And when I sent him a message, it wouldn't allow the message to go through. I had to buy something for, okay, zero ZAR for zero amount of money, but it wouldn't allow me to go any further to send the message.
So LinkedIn have, and this is also relatively recent. They're obviously on a drive to get you to upgrade, just like ChatGPT. So you used to be able to send as many as you wanted, 300 characters. Then they came up with this new trick. They said, no, you can do only 5 messages, unless you've upgraded, 5 messages a month, 200 characters. So you might be at that point. So you've probably used the 5, and now it's saying to you, well, if you want to send more, upgrade. I don't know what to tell you. It sucks. So there are a couple of options. Okay, the options are as follows: get a free trial to start of Sales Navigator. See if we can get, if you know anybody else with Sales Navigator, because if you do, they can give you 2 months free instead of 1, which helps tremendously. Then you'll actually have access to Sales Navigator, and you'll have these issues. If all else fails, you have to send a blank connection request. So still send them. It's just there's no message. After that, you can go up to 3,000 characters per message. But the first one, it's a bit of a pain and a very, very frustrating. But it's just a recent thing of theirs. They're trying to sell that. They've got a shitty product, a really shitty product called LinkedIn Premium. It really is not worth the money. And now they've tried to make it worth the money by doing this. Yeah, it's silly. Sales Navigator is 1,250. If you're going to buy anything, that's the thing. But it's expensive. I understand that. For people that are not on it all the time, it's a tough call. So you might just have to send the blank connection request, which is frustrating. But see if you can get the Sales Navigator trial. You can certainly have what you can get a month yourself. You don't need anybody for that. But if you know someone, 2 months is better than 1. Does not. Maybe you can check in your network now if anybody's got Sales Navigator. It'll be in our network, and then they can help. So how it works is that you can gift. It starts off with 10. You can gift 10 other people.
Wow.
The 2 months instead of the 1, right? And then when you get to that, then they give you another 5, and then they say no. And I'm incredulous. I'm looking at this and I'm like, every single person I've gifted to has bought the damn thing. What is wrong with you? Why are you stopping me from doing this? But no, the 15, that's it. Sometimes I
So that's in total.
Yeah, in
like
total.
for your life, you only allowed to get 15.
For your life.
Oh, that is stupid. You would think you could give like 5 a month away, whatever.
You would think, wouldn't you? But apparently no. Microsoft are weird people. I don't get them. Anyway.
Microsoft. Well, hello, they say, go figure. James, just to give you an update. Just to give you an update, Esther's had a death in the family, and so today is not an easy day. So she's got a family commitment, obviously, that she's at. And then I actually contacted Leisha to say, just send me the thing, because my computer's not with me, and I'm on my tablet on the one side, and my obviously myself on the other side. So Leisha said she's driving in traffic, and Lisa has been double booked, so that's why they won't be here, but they'll catch up with them, so you've got Chantel and I currently. I don't know where Jared is. Jared didn't say he wasn't going to be here.
Jared hasn't been for a long time, to be fair. I think Jared's bailed.
No, shocking business. Shocking.
All right. So it is interesting because I finished with the other group yesterday.
Did you?
So what happened was I wasn't actually sure what I was going to do with it. And so what I agreed with them, as I said, we'd keep it going on a monthly basis for now. So they were quite happy, because what's going to happen now, and you'll see from this session and the one I do with you next week, which is quite cool. It helps you to find people. might, and particularly for Chantal, because she's like local, not always that easy.
Yeah.
But even for you, because you also have some special stuff you're trying to find. So today
Yeah.
it's kind of the basics. Next week, show you some really cool stuff that'll bring it to life a lot more for you. But
Yeah.
once that happens, and then you've kind of got the full picture. Then you'll be into the game, and you'll be sending connection requests and stuff. And
Yes.
then that's when a lot of the questions and things come. So as I said, I want to do a few more things with you guys, but for them, it sort of made sense to end it. And
Yeah.
it actually turned into a very awesome group at the end. I'm actually really glad we did it. And I don't know that there'll be a lot of business flow, but that sometimes that doesn't matter. I've really enjoyed the people. And I've got a lot out of it as well, so doing both of these, because I only built the presentations every week. I didn't build it all out up front. So
Beforehand now.
so a lot of it was me kind of adapting. So I actually got quite a bit out of it myself as well. And met people I wouldn't ordinarily have, which is quite cool. And some of them are quite useful.
Yes,
and will be useful to me and for stuff I'll need in the future. So it's been good. Anyway, so we'll see. All right. Let me.
As soon as we finish, James, while you're getting that up, as soon as we finished, what I think would be really helpful is maybe for me to hop onto. There's an online Cape Town chapter actually. I've forgotten what it's called now, but anyway, I'll send you the details. And I was thinking to go with you to the online chapter, and then for me to give you a testimonial. Obviously, as area director, it carries a little bit more weight.
Sure.
And then for me to give you a testimonial, and then obviously your specific ask, obviously financial planners and accountants, So I think that might be a nice thing. And then I know that they've also got a Joburg online chapter. So those are two things that maybe when we're done,
thanks.
And then we can hop on and attend those online meetings.
Okay, that'll be super. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Well, let's show you some stuff, shall we?
Can I do my thing first? Oh, I wrote out something.
My sincere apologies. I'm already out of my mind. Sorry, of course you can.
I did my homework, James. James, I did my
homework. Hang on.
James, don't let me do my homework for nothing.
let me let you share. Otherwise, I'll really be in trouble. Okay, do it.
Okay. So, obviously, I come from a NGO counselor background. And many times people who are in, and I'm going to say the giving space, don't look after themselves. And so I thought the easiest quick connection would be looking at people who are like me, belong to ASCHP, which is the Association of Holistic Practitioners, etc., etc. So specialist wellness counselors, etc., etc. So that would be my target. And then obviously counselors and I want to say counselors and those people in that space. That would be, I think there's enough people just to start off with. So my idea is then obviously we took.
Can I just stop you right there while it's in top of my head?
Yes.
Are those people potential clients, legitimately?
Yes, they would be, because they actually are golden geese. Because they might have clients. So I see it, obviously, put my BNI hat on for a minute. I don't just want to sell and we're going to make it simple. I don't want to sell you a sleep kit. What if I could have somebody who has a constant supply of people who may need my services? And I become, it's like almost a collaborator, joint venture. So their clients and they're not sleep specialists. So I could first maybe provide them with support in terms of sleep, because maybe they're not getting enough sleep, but their clients may be an ideal fit. And it's not competition, because I'm not counseling their clients, but in dealing with their sleep, I actually could be solving a lot of their problems for them emotionally, cognitively, etc. So they would be an ideal golden goose for me rather than the egg.
Okay, but great. You need them both. The golden goose take longer to cultivate, but
yes,
that's what they are. And then the others are a little bit easier. Okay, very good place to start. Okay, So
So,
just before
yeah.
Chantal, you need to do something similar because of the nature of your business. I'll talk to that in just a bit. Then I'll just continue. Just remind me.
Okay. So this is sorry, I'm on my phone, so that's why I don't know if I'm still on the screen.
You are?
Okay. So, dear Lauren, in my journey as a specialist wellness counselor, I've come to understand that the path of a counselor can often feel lonely. It's a realization that underscores the importance of connection and support amongst peers. With this in mind, I truly value our connection and would like to extend an invitation to you. Let's come together to forge a strong network of healthcare professionals, a community where we can share best practice, insights, and most importantly, create a sanctuary dedicated to self-care and personal development. It's an opportunity for us to support each other, grow together, and enhance our ability to make a difference in the lives of those we serve. I look forward to the possibility of connecting further and building this community with you. Warm regards, Melanie.
Very nice, but way too long. Not our fault, LinkedIn's fault. So,
okay. Yeah.
You sort of came in at the tail end of what I was saying to Chantal. So currently you might be in that stupid 200 character 5.
Okay.
That's useless, right? So we have to assume for this discussion that you'll get onto Sales Nav at least, and hopefully they'll push you consistently above. So even if you no longer have it, at least you can do 300. I'm not sure. I haven't.
No, 100%.
Going with, but let's assume that that's where we are. So you've got 300 characters, right? So you'd have to take that message. Now the first bit was actually pretty good. Just read it to me again.
Okay. Dear Lauren, in my journey as a specialist, well, I used yours as a model, so it should be good, James.
Thanks.
Hello. In my journey as a specialist wellness coach, as a specialist wellness counselor, I've come to understand that the path of a counselor can often feel lonely. It's a realization that underscores the importance of connection and support among peers.
So stop there. So that's probably your opening line, and you're going to get quite close, right?
Yes.
All of the other stuff is almost inherent, and then just after that, you don't even need to give a substantiation. Sometimes I say because the value is in your message. It's really clear. You are like me. We have this issue, and I would just love to connect to you. Like that's literally all you have to say.
Okay, wonderful.
So just sort of ended with a bit of a connection, and I think just about be in the characters. All that other stuff you should keep, because next or subsequent messages that comes into play. We'll talk about that in due course. But it's like the whole thought process and everything was good. It's just you can't do it.
Too long.
Like, don't have enough characters. Yeah.
Happy. I'll sort it out. I'll
but
improve
it. Great message. So tell your challenge, right, is that you're local. So how the hell do you find the needle in the haystack? Like who's looking for a house right now? I mean, there's certain.
My problem is, how do you find people selling houses? I've tried looking.
Correct. This is what I'm saying to you. So what you've got to do is you've got to think outside the box a little. This week won't be as useful to you as next week. Okay? I'm not going to give it away just yet, but next week I'm going to show you some other tricks. But that is what you need to do. Is you actually need to find referral partners. That's going to be your absolute best bet. And so what you've got to do is you've got to sort of apply your mind to the process, right? So you've got to say to yourself, okay, well, who is going to know about it when people move? Buyers or sellers, right? And you need to expand your thought process from that perspective. So you want to think about people, what happens, all the steps and stuff that can happen before a house is bought, sold, rented, whatever the case is, and then subsequent to that. Your issue is you local, right? So your challenge is you've got to get to as many local people, and for some of it you're just going to connect with people, right? So you're going to start off intelligently and then just build business with other people. So for example, I don't know, a cleaning company. You got to clean the house before you move. A moving company, someone that sells boxes. Like
with BNI, we've learned about having power teams. And our power teams is obviously the people that I'm going to invite or connect with on LinkedIn. That's how it would start. Because at the end of the day, you can't walk into a store and go buy a bunch of houses that you want to sell or buy a bunch of rental properties. that I have to work purely on referral. So I've got to work with my power team, because my power team will then refer me. Does that make sense?
So
My power team is the cleaning company, the electricals, the
yeah. So you need to build contacts with more people like your power team on LinkedIn, so that you can get the referral. The interesting thing with referrals, hey, and I'm, to be fair, most of my experiences is in the professional realm. The interesting thing with that is money is not always necessary to change hands. It's not always about money. Sometimes it's just about being able to look after your client when they ask a question, or and confidently being able to give it to somebody who you know will not let you down.
this is
That's huge.
Too long to be a night drive, seriously.
No, listen, I've been doing this long enough. This is what I'm telling you. That's kind of how it is. That's why BNI works so well, right? It's one of the things. You don't doubt the people around you because of what you got to do to get there, and you've gone through a process. So if you weren't in BNI now, and I'd taken you through the LinkedIn process, so the other group, they don't have an advantage. That's why for me it was quite interesting seeing the two, but they grew to that point. And because as we go through, remember when we talk about the stories, and there's always something that's happening. And then as they get more familiar with each other, so that group was a bit bigger, so we had a bit more interaction, right? So as they got more and more familiar with each other, then they'd start to chime in and give each other advice and ask questions. And then you could sort of start to see things growing. So they're at a point now where, and the other thing is that the guys that finished, so they did 13 weeks. Like if you've done 13 weeks, like that says a lot about your character. And it's the same people, right? That they were there from the beginning. It wasn't like people went in and out. It's like, no, those were consistent. So like if like I've got one person that sells businesses, and like just talking to her and getting to know her, etc. Is like I'm confident, even though I've never seen her sell a business, I'm confident she will sell your business because she's awesome. And I've seen it, and I've talked, and so that's what this sort of stuff instills. And on LinkedIn, that's what we're trying to do. Is we're putting our best foot forward, but you got to take it further, right? Because you can't just because you pay a subscription at BNI doesn't give you the right to get a referral, right? You've still got to prove that you're worth that. So that's what we're doing on LinkedIn is we're creating the first part, but then we still have to go out and build the relationships, talk to people.
I don't need to only work with one electrician. I can have another electrician that maybe say I've met on LinkedIn and I've created a relationship with them. Because at the end of the day, I could need something urgently. Jared's not available, and I'm going to call John.
Yeah, and
Jared will understand.
And John, as I said, doesn't necessarily need you to refer business. And you don't have to put out to John that you will when you know you won't, because Jared's the guy, right? You don't have to do that. So there's no conflict of interest, no emotional conflict, no professional conflict. You're connecting with him, and there will potentially be scenarios where he needs someone, and his question, like everybody else, is okay. Who? Right, I remember. Chantal's quite good, because he's gone through the process, right? He's received the connection request. He's had a chat to you. He's got to know you. Maybe he's even met you, and that can at least you can do the in-person thing, right? Or it could be online. It doesn't matter. Now at least he knows you. And if you keep sending a couple of bits and pieces and you keep sort of top of mind, the opportunity will arise, just like it does in BNI. So it's almost like you're creating a secondary network. And in your case, you have to do that intentionally. Like for me, there's millions of accounts and financial advisors. Every day I send 40 requests to different people. I can find them.
What's nice is that somebody can go onto LinkedIn, see my profile, see the effort I put in, and that's, let's say there's a buyer and he's choosing between 3 agents. He's gonna look at my LinkedIn profile. It's gonna, wow.
Yeah.
It makes effort.
That was
another agent's LinkedIn profile. There's no picture. There's nothing. So that's nice to have.
Yeah, and trust me, people are looking. Every single person is going to Google you, and the link profile is coming up. I had, it's funny enough, in the other group, one of the great success stories was exactly that, where one of the guys was saying is having a bit of an issue with pricing. Then he sent them the LinkedIn profile, and they came back, okay, that's fine. That was the end of that conversation.
Really?
And then there was another lady who got found. She got found on LinkedIn from somebody in Canada, and she says to him, "You know, I'm in South Africa." She says, "Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I want." And because of all the stuff she did, like, how weird is that? And she's doing QuickBooks on. It's like, so it happens. The LinkedIn profile is very powerful if we do it right, and we've all done a nice personalized thing, so people can see. They can see the professionalism. Your girls have done amazing jobs with all the banners and stuff. So yeah, all of the stuff plays together, and it will do even more so, right, as we get into the next phase of this. So LinkedIn's got a thing called an SSI score, or a social index score, right? So the social index indicator, there's 4 different things that it looks at. So one is the content that you're creating, then there's engagement with other people on the platform, then there's like how relevant you are based on kind of what you say, and then there's the connection bit. It's all 25% each. So the more of the stuff that you do, the higher you get pushed up the rankings. So because we've fixed profiles and we've done a good job, we had like the first bump. Now we're going to get into the second bump when we start doing the messaging and connecting. And then what happens is that the LinkedIn algorithm is quite intelligent, obviously, being AI. So what it does is it starts to work out who you're connecting with, what's going on, and it's starting to connect the dots. Okay, this is what the profile says. She's actually connecting to these type of people. We start to see. Then what happens, and you don't even know this just happens without you, it starts to recommend you to other people. This is awesome. So, you know, sometimes when you go into LinkedIn and you search for someone, on the side it says, you know, the other people like this, etc. You now get put in that sidebar for people that are looking for all sorts of things that could be related to property sales, because it's worked it out. And so you keep getting higher and higher up. And so then when somebody asks for an estate agent in a particular area, that's now when you're right at the top of the queue. So there's quite a lot of other benefits, not just what we're talking about, but the positioning thing is huge. So many people haven't even got into messaging, they're getting clients. It's like, great.
Wait a second. When you say that you get bumped up like that, it's almost like the prop control system, Property 24. Like if you have a better listing and more information, better quality photos, better everything, it bumps your listing to the top of the list.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Automatically, you just go because Property 24.
Yeah. So what you should do, right? Like when this is all done, if you're not doing it already, you can then start to add quote unquote content, but your content can be listings, or hey, we sold this, or and you can write some cool articles about landlords that screwed up and what you should look for in buying a property, all those things. So you have other stuff in there, but you can keep posting stuff to be top of mind. LinkedIn will tend to show your stuff to your people because you have a local network, as in can get to you because you need to. You're going to get more local people, so you'll get eyeballs on it automatically. Content is more important for you than it is for most people. So it should just be stuff that's already there. But we'll talk to you a little bit more about that. And again, it pushes you higher. It's it's a virtuous cycle. It's either positive or negative, depending on what you do or don't do on LinkedIn. Makes sense.
That's very cool. That's very cool, hey Mal. Mal, you got to.
So like when I said to you earlier, like LinkedIn is the most powerful one-page website. Like you'll get more clients from your LinkedIn profile than you will from your website ever. This is what I mean. People don't realize, because you don't understand how the platform fits together and the power and what it can do. It's only when you start to use it, it's like, holy shit, where did that come from? And then you suddenly get this surge inwards. But all these little things you do, they all add to the flywheel. All right, let me see. Okay, I will bore you with this. I was going to say I won't bore you with this, but it's been a while, so maybe I will. So obviously, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about LinkedIn and Sales Navigator filters. So just to put this in perspective, obviously we chose our niche. Some of us, it's fairly obvious. Other people had to find them, but we know pretty much what we want to, who we want to sell to. And again, when we speak about that, always just go back to that idea of that that group of people with a similar set of characteristics that's going to make you the ideal either partner or person to use for your services. Then we spoke about the client criticals, and from there we ended up developing our big message, right? So the big problem that we solve in a specified amount of time. We sorted out our graphical stuff, which would, and particularly the banner, its job was when somebody gets to the LinkedIn profile, that it lets them know very quickly that they're in the right place. Then we went through this whole process of doing the about section. This is, in my opinion, this is like really the sales page, and this does most of the selling for you actually. That's why we went into such depth with this. Then we spoke about the experience section, which is more nuts and bolts, and for some of us it's more process driven. And then we got into creating the messages. So we've got some basic messaging that we're ready to shoot off. The first two messages, which obviously you will have access to when you jump onto Sales Nav. And today, and this was chicken and egg, whether you know I did messaging first or how to find them. Today, what we're going to talk about is the beginning stages of the connection process itself, right? So firstly, I want to talk to you a bit about connection strategy. We won't have to say much to you. I think you probably got that whacked. And then we'll take a much closer look at filters and some of the cool stuff that we can actually do. So that's obviously where we at the moment, is looking at specifically our audience. So I think I ran through this before, but this bears talking about again, just to ram the point home. So this whole idea of the linked network, it's in the name, network marketing. LinkedIn network. So I think LinkedIn is a bit like network marketing. You tell to people and they tell to people and they tell to people. So let's say that Chantal, I connect to you. So now you and I are first level connections, right? You then go and connect to Mel. So Mel is now your first level connection, but she's my second. And then Mel will connect to Jared, and so it goes on. So 3 levels. Now, the reason that this is very significant, and even more for you, Chantal, than for Mel, the reason that this is so significant is that most people, even people like myself who use Sales Navigator, I use Sales Navigator to find stuff, and I'm hunting very specifically on there. But actually, when I'm using LinkedIn as a rule, answering messages, that I go to LinkedIn, right? I like that interface. It's actually much nicer than Sales Navigator, to be honest. It doesn't have as much stuff on it, and it's nice and it's comfortable. We all know it. Also, South Africans, as a rule, don't spend money on Sales Navigator. We're quite poor in terms of the percentage conversion, I would think, on LinkedIn's database. So what happens is that if somebody does a search, right, and they're looking for property in your area, what's going to happen is that LinkedIn is going to return results to them, but it's only going to show them people in their network. So if you're not in their network, and what that means is, as you see there, a first, second, or third level connection, or, and this one will be important for you next week, I'll talk more about this, Chantal, or you're part of a group that they're part of, okay, on LinkedIn, and as long as you've been a member for at least 4 days, so it's not a big hurdle to overcome, they are in your network. So if somebody is searching and you are one of those people, you will come up. If you don't, if you're not connected in any way like that, you simply won't appear. So you don't have that opportunity, and it's going to be quite important for you to get local search to convert for you on LinkedIn. I think it's going to be a big strategy for you. So very important. So message number 1 is build the network as big as you possibly can, right? But have it targeted. So for you, it's not going to make sense to have people that are not in your area, as a rule. I mean, might be if somebody's thinking of moving from Joburg down to the coast, that's a different story. But like, that's kind of hard to find. It's better to rather work with the people that are already there, that know what's happening, right? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that actually the first level connections, these are the most important, because the more you grow your first level connections, obviously the bigger the rest of your network grows. But more importantly, two things. Number one, LinkedIn will give us the email address. I would say for about 95% of the people, because people have the option to go into their own privacy settings and block that, right? About 5% of people do. Why is beyond me. I don't know why you would not want people to connect with you, but some people do. But 95% of the time, you'll get the email address, which means you can email them, which is fantastic. We found that when we email people, it adds probably 2 to 3 times the amount of leads and appointments that we get as when we don't, and we just use LinkedIn. So it's quite a handy thing to be able to do, because you're talking to people on 2 different channels. That's why it makes sense. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, obviously we can message each other. So you won't have that stupid problem you have when you send the connection request. So once somebody's connected, you can send 3,000 character messages back and forth as much as you want. You can have 50 messages a day. It's cool, to the same person. And even more cool is that it will get delivered. You know that because it's on LinkedIn. LinkedIn controls the whole LinkedIn universe. If I send you a message, I know 100% guaranteed you will get it. Not only will you get it on LinkedIn, but you will get an email if you haven't gone and changed your privacy settings. You'll get an email that says, hey, James sent you a message on LinkedIn. You'll click on the message in your email and it will take you back to LinkedIn. Okay. That message does not go into spam. There is no email service provider in the world that blocks an email from something that ends with linkedin.com. This is never going to happen, right? It's going to be delivered 100% of the time. So you've actually got 2 shots at getting their attention. So that's why this whole structure is important. So understanding that the holy grail is first level connections, right? So when we look at the first level connections, there's a couple of things we talk about strategy that we want to think about. Now, normally I say to people, don't connect with anyone and everyone, right? That's typically quite bad strategy if you're trying to be very focused on LinkedIn. In your case, Chantal, I would say if people are local, I'd probably take the connection because you don't know. Right, yours is a bit of a needle in a haystack. Mel's got a bit more. I mean,
it could be an accountant that's wanting to sell their house.
Yeah. It absolutely could, and you kind of got to do it, right? The rest of us, we can be a little bit more picky, right? So I'm never generally a fan of everyone. When I'm connecting, I want to connect with my ideal clients. I want to connect with somebody that will buy something from me, right? And think about it this way: even when you post content, okay, what happens is, because now there's so many people on LinkedIn, there's so much stuff in the feed. Luckily, there are not that many people posting content on LinkedIn, so we still have a major advantage there over platforms like Insta or Facebook, right? But still, it can only show your content to a very small selection. Maybe it's 10% of your connections. So if half your connections are rubbish, you're actually only getting 50% value out of your content. So I'm a big fan of only ideal clients because I can sell to them and they're generally connected to other people like them. So that the whole networking circle works quite well, right? Chantal, you need to take this with a pinch of salt. The rest of us, a little bit different. And then we spoke about this, the golden geese. That's kind of the referrals and direct. I think you should always be doing that. Chantal, for you, the strategy is almost completely referral based. Is working with people that can potentially refer to you. And then direct is where you identify somebody. So like for me, when I'm dealing with accountants and financial advisors, I just pick 40 accountants a day that are in practice and send them a connection request, right? Somewhere in there, I'm going to have success. There'll be at least one of them that's interested. And that's really the way you play the game, as it were. So everything comes back to that very first session we did when we were talking about niche. Who's that person? What does it look like? Because now you're starting to see how it starts to build out. It's either direct or it's indirect. It's one of the two. Typically, I don't like connecting to my peers. So let me qualify that, especially based on what Mel said a bit earlier. So I'm not connecting typically with other accountants as accountants. So that's a bad example now because I'm not actually an accountant. I'm a marketer. So I don't connect with other marketers as a rule. Because like, what's the point? If I need something specific, then it makes sense. Otherwise, we're competitors technically, and Sometimes we're not actually, funnily enough, because you might specialize in a particular brand of marketing that's different to mine, and then there might well be opportunity to cross refer. So that would be the only time that you would do it, and then that falls into the number 3, the referrals. But as a rule, like connecting with other estate agents is like pointless. They'll just steal your stuff. It's like, no, I don't want to know what I'm doing.
Really, hey? Because
Right.
if I'm connecting with other agents from different towns, they could have somebody that wants to sell in East London and they need help. So what would happen is they could contact me and say, listen, Chantal, I'm sitting in Cape Town, the property's in East London, let's share the com.
Well, that's maybe a good strategy for you. Something you should consider. If that's something that works and you see that a lot, then it's a strategy, right? Then it's not peers, it's referrals. It's different.
Yeah, I don't think I would connect with the East London rentals though. I mean,
I don't think so. That's what I was referring to there. Yeah. Okay. And then of course, yeah, I'm not even going to tell you about this. I don't want you to do this. This is for people. So you'll see Aldani at this stage, right? When we did this, only 820 connections. So you know that LinkedIn will show you the exact number of connections until you get to 500. So 500 is like the psychological magic number. And you'll even see it in the amount of connection accepts you get. You get a lot more when you're over 500 than below. So I always say to people, try to get there as soon as possible. But in your case, just do what you're doing. Just get there when you get there. Don't worry about it, because there are people that will happily connect with you. So in case you're wondering what a line is, because I put it there, line is an acronym for LinkedIn Open Networker. What a LinkedIn Open Networker is somebody who, when you send them a connection request, they will accept it. Fundamentally, that's what they're basically saying to you. This is it's an established acronym. People put it on their LinkedIn profiles, and they just connect, and they build massive networks, right? So if you connect to a line, your second and third level connections are going to grow very, very quickly, but they're not that useful. And so for you, I would say rather go for useful than for lots. Pardon me?
Wouldn't that work for me? Because at the end of the day, I don't know who wants to sell.
You'll get a lot of horse shit in there. Hey? Maybe, truth be told, but you'd want to connect with South Africans, not all lines everywhere. So you have to, you got to just take things with a pinch of salt. Yeah, I suppose technically it could work for you. The other thing, by the way, that works quite well, if you're trying to get people to connect, are recruiters. They'll connect with anybody. Like I'll tell you a funny story. I was joking about it, and I would say to people, like they're the prostitutes of LinkedIn. Like they'll connect with anybody, right? So this goes on, and so help me, I get a client who's a recruiter, and she never let me forget that. Like she rubbed me forever. It was like the funniest thing. So, but they are kind of like that because for them they don't know, and they want the big network. So if you want to play that game, those are the two big groups of people that will add a lot of people. But certainly for you, and unless you've got, like you said, with that strategy of say connecting with estate agents in different provinces or different towns, I would try to stick to your knitting. So just building it for the sake, it's not going to help you. You're going to end up with a lot of rubbish on there, which you'll probably regret a little bit down the line because you don't need to. So even if your network's a bit smaller, that's okay. Because worst case scenario, like if you're stuck, just connect with every business owner in East London. Just like if you need a strategy that, because again, you don't know, and you might as well connect with people in the area that have potential clout. So that's the way you would do it rather than this sort of nonsense here. Okay, so that's kind of strategy. So let's talk a little bit about filters. So have a look at this. This is kind of let's move that up a little bit. This is a little bit of an example of sort of what you can expect. So just to give this a little bit of context, LinkedIn has this massive database, right? 1.2 billion people, I'm guessing, more or less is what it is now. They've created two products. They've created this first thing, yeah, the basic LinkedIn account, which we all have. And that's the freebie, you know, like, hey, opt into, give me your name and email address and you can have my free ebook. That's what this is. They call it a lead magnet. LinkedIn is a lead magnet. Probably the best lead magnet in the entire world, because they've got 1.2 billion people, not just to opt into it, but to actually use it. It's like incredible, right? Then, now that they've got you, now they need to sell you some stuff. So they send you Sales Navigator and they say, listen, we're going to restrict you on LinkedIn. Unless you pay us money, then you can do what you want, right? So Sales Navigator and LinkedIn are two completely separate products. They have two completely different URLs, okay? And therefore they have different filters. So just sort of bear that in mind. And so obviously you'll see, because you're paying money for Sales Navigator, we have a lot more access than we do. So here are the filters, and these are the ones that are probably useful to us right now. Okay, so let's just use this example of accountant. So if I type accountant into the search bar, right, what it's there in the keyword, that's the filter I'm looking at, it's going to give me people that are in the accounting industry, and I can do that both on LinkedIn and on Sales Navigator, right? So no biggie there. It's fairly obvious. The next one is location. Okay, now this is where this gets tricky on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn will allow you to do fairly broad-based location, okay, regional-based. And to be fair, it's got a lot better. It used to be iffy, but it's okay now. So you can find people, for example, in South Africa. You can find people in provincially, so Eastern Cape, East London, and then maybe one of the towns near you. So you can get to that level, and as long as LinkedIn has put that on their list, you can find them. Okay, this is a little bit broader, and if that's all you got, then use it, right? You'll see here, if you have Sales Navigator, there's another filter called the they call it the postal code. I call it the radius filter, but same thing. What happens is you would put your current postal code in, right? So in my case, I used to be in Edenvale, so I put that code in, and then I can nominate a radius anywhere from 10 kilometers up to 200 or something from where I am. And then when you do that, then it gives you people that are local. So in other words, people that are in close proximity. So Chantal, this would be a perfect filter for you, for example, because local is lekker. Okay, but you need Sales Navigator for that. So now I'm being horrible because I'm showing you what you can't have right now. But a little later on. So try first, the basic LinkedIn and see what you're getting. At some point you will use Sales Navigator, and then you'll see what the difference is. You'll be able to see if you need it or not. Then there's the job title. So the job title is probably the most valuable filter on all of LinkedIn, because the job title is remember when we did experience and I said to you, what do people search for? And I said I'd make a note when we looked at the filters. Well, this is the note, right? This is the filter that they use. So this job title, when you searching in here, it goes specifically to whatever you put as your job title. So this is probably the most up-to-date piece of information on the profile, because if somebody changes their job, they change their job title. I moved from company A to company B, I now do this, right? So not only is it up to date, but it's also very user-centric. The user decides what their job title is. Unfortunately, most people are not very creative. The marketing people, they put strange stuff like rainmaker, but like the rest of us, we call ourselves counselors, we call ourselves coaches, we call ourselves brokers, estate agents, right? We can find people that we're looking for, electricians as an example. So this is quite a valuable filter. So if you know what the quote unquote job title of that person is, they're quite easy to find. Seniority levels is also an important one for a lot of us, because most of us want to deal with owners of the businesses. Some of us not so much, but if you do, there's like a hierarchy under seniority. So they tend to have like owners and partners up at the top, and then they get to the C-level executives. So what that means is anybody with the word chief in their title: chief executive officer, chief financial officer, CEO, right? All of those people. Then there's directors, and typically those people are people that have influence in companies. And then then it starts to move down from there, right? So from that point onwards, they start looking at management, senior management, junior management, senior type people, and then they get all the way down to people that are on free internships, right? So if this makes sense to you, and for most of us it does, like in this case, if I was looking for accountants, I need people in practice. What do they call themselves? Well, they call themselves owners, partners, directors. That's what I want to use seniority for. Okay. If somebody's a trainee accountant or an article clerk, useless to me at this point in their career. Job function. This is an interesting one because job function, right, relates to industry. So this one here, there's a finite list, right? In fact, there's a finite list of industry as well, but the industry list is a lot bigger. But LinkedIn says is, look, doesn't matter what the industry is, there's going to be certain job functions that all industries can have, like sales, HR, marketing, logistics, right? That sort of thing. So if what you're doing, it makes sense to find people with a specific job function, then use it. Most people, it doesn't. There must be something in here for you, Chantal, hey? Like HR managers, for example, or something like that. Anyway, give that some thought. It's here. I don't find we use this often. Sometimes it works. Years of experience, this is a big one. Often, the years of experience will tell you, right, whether the person's got money or not, fundamentally, because the longer people have been working, the more money they've got. In a nutshell. So this often helps, and particularly when you start to stack it with other filters. And they're different years of experience because you can see how long people have been working in total, but you can also see how long they've been at their current positions. So there's I'll show this to you practically on maybe next week. So just bear this in mind for now. Headcount gives you again an indication of the company size, right? So here are the options that you get. So somebody who's self-employed is going to have a very different set of resources that they're worried about. Different demands on their time, etc. Than somebody who's got 200 employees, right? So there's a lot of really cool assumptions you can make by breaking it down into these headcounts. Company type doesn't really matter, unless you're doing three things. Educational institutions, which is exactly what it sounds like universities. Probably not. If you're doing, so Mel, for you maybe NGOs, there's a specific filter for that. So you might use that, and then the other one is government stuff, which maybe not. Most people stay away from it. Groups. So this is one, and we'll talk more about this in a lot more detail next week. Particularly for you, Chantal, because you can find maybe groups that are local, and then you can start to network there. And particularly if they're property groups or groups of, I don't know, service providers or movers or whatever. You know, so you need to think a little bit outside the box. But we'll have a look at that at that day. So if you look at this, right, here's just an example. So let's say I type in marketing for accountants, and what pops up is a group that says social media marketing for accountants. Okay. So now I know, because there's somebody in that group that's an accountant, I already know that they're interested in social media marketing, because otherwise, why would you have joined the group? So for me, it's not a big stretch to take them from social media marketing to client generation. And actually, it might even be the same thing. So that's a really good place for me to start fishing, isn't it? Go to the groups, join the group, find the people, and send them connection requests. And it's easy. Hey, we're both part of the same group. Let's connect. Okay? Kind of a simple process. We'll talk more about groups as I say, because it's pretty cool. Some of the things that you need to sort of consider. So for me, the go-to filters always are location. So again, it really doesn't matter what it is, but you need to know, right? So for me, I can work worldwide, but at the moment I'm doing stuff into the UK, right? It's a market I'm trying to break into, doing tons of stuff into the UK market. But it really doesn't matter. I can deal with anybody in the English-speaking world, right? You need to perhaps do something local, or with some of those other strategies where you're building longer-term relationships, but very thoughtfully and intentionally with other people. I actually quite like your idea, by the way, of estate agents in other towns. I think you could do it right there. Good idea. In terms of the relationship, so obviously we spoke about first, second, and third level connections. Obviously, we exclude the first, right? Because we're trying to build first level connections. So at this stage, we're only trying to find second. So rather second than third. When you start, you might have to do second and third, but if you can, just do second for all sorts of reasons. The first one is that LinkedIn likes it. And I think they like it because the connection rate is higher. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because if it's a second degree connection, by implication, by definition, it means that you have at least one other first level connection in common. So it kind of makes sense. And statistically, it's just proven. Like, think about it, when you get a connection request from a third level connection, like, there's nothing you can check. You can't tie it back to anything. It's just like there. It's like, okay, it's based on the profile. Does this make sense? And why the hell are they sending me a connection request? Like, even I do that. Okay, so if you have to in the beginning while you're building your network, then you do third. But if you can, just do second. Okay, always better. Industry is often quite a good barometer, but industry has some issues. So it doesn't always give you the best results. But if you're starting out and you're not sure where to start, industry is always a good one. You know, a lot of people say, well, industry doesn't matter. You know, okay, maybe. But if I'm looking for electricians and movers, maybe I need to look at transport as an industry to find those particular people. So you're starting to see a lot of this stuff is starting to repeat. But now that you've got all the pieces, now it's just a case of thinking outside the box, and just knowing that you have the ability with the filters to do that. And then the last one being, as I said, job title or seniority level, which you can do on LinkedIn to a lesser degree than on Sales Navigator. So that's the go-to stuff. You're always gonna want to do that. This was probably homework. Yeah, it's a homework. So sort of go through these. These are your filters. So obviously on the basic account, you can do keyword, regional location, and industry. Postal code or radius you can only do on Sales Nav. Job title, it's limited, but you can do it as long as you know who they are on LinkedIn. And I'll show you how to do that. Seniority, very similar. Doesn't work nearly as well on LinkedIn as it does on Sales Navigator, just because there's so many more options. And then all of this other stuff pretty much is Sales Navigator stuff. Function, years of experience, headcount, company name, and groups is limited here because it's kind of weird actually, because most of the interaction on groups is in fact on LinkedIn, and the only time you can use the Sales Navigator to help you is if you are a member of the group. And you can find everybody in the group, which helps you to connect. But you can sort of do that, just not as effectively on LinkedIn. But I'll show you groups next week because there's some cool stuff in there. So that is that. How are we for time? Oh, look at that. We made it with seconds to spare. So let me pull this back and see if you guys got any questions about this or anything.
No. So our homework is to create that table, the filters. What we're going to look at is that our homework.
Did I not? Yeah, hang on. I must have created one second. I must have created a slide deck. Why don't I give you that? Hang on.
I was going to say you haven't shared the download yet this week.
That's what I'm about to do.
I'm interested. Is that a tent for your grandson that you have hanging there?
No, it's actually my green screen. Normally I'm slightly this way, but now I'm working off my tablet. And then it stops the light and the green screen, and then I normally have I normally have my backgrounds. Yeah. So the green screen helps the background better. So it's actually green screen
every day.
Okay, there you go. I've popped it into the chat for you. You can download it. Yeah, so really all I need you to do this week is just to just to do a little bit of sort of internal thought process, play around. And then next week I'll show you some really cool stuff, which is a bit more out the box and should help quite a bit more with what you're doing. And yeah, when if you start playing with Sales Navigator and you go back to LinkedIn, it's like, It was actually a bit of a challenge for me to build this section, because it's like, I don't use LinkedIn. I better go use it a bit. And so I had to go back and scratch my head and say, okay, let's pull all the tricks out, because I don't need them on Sales Navigator, but you need them on LinkedIn. So next week we'll give you the bag of tricks. This week is just basics. Get involved, understand it, play around a bit, see what you can do, what you can't, what's it giving you, what isn't it that you'd like it to give you. Sorry, I just have this. You know when you get that pit in your stomach and you think, I'm late for a meeting? I'm not. I don't know why. Ooh, okay. Relax. Relax. It's been one of those days. Like, if you see my diary, I've been on the go since. I've got a little half an hour gap now, and then I'm back to it until 8 o'clock tonight. It's crazy. It's like, anyway.
Wow. Awesome. Well, thank you, James. We've got homework to do.
All right. And I'll good stuff.
Make my sentence shorter. My connection request.
Yeah, you got to get it into the 300 characters, and you got to make allowance for the name. Because the name obviously will, so so when you write the first one, try to get it into 190 characters or something, or 290 characters, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, James.
All right, folks, we will see you same time, same place next week.
Thanks, Dave.
For that bag of tricks.
Bag of
Bye.
Cheers then. Bye bye.